Good morning. Hope you're all well. I'm at home this week doing my vlog, and I thought I'd do a brief catch up. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about the way I'm feeling, which isn't the best at the moment. So I had my burn. I don't know if I spoke about that or not, to be honest, but I had a accident making soup. So I was making soup, and I put it. So I cooked it on the stove, and then I put it in a blender and blended it up. And I noticed there was some soup coming out the bottom, and I thought, oh, it's a bit strange. I thought it was just a leakage from the actual canister, but I lifted up the canister, and this hot molten soup, carrot soup, so it even looked like molten lava, went all over me, especially my hand. It was bloody painful, to say the least. So I ended up at urgent care here in Midland, and I went in and I explained what happened, and she looked at me and she said, oh, it looks quite bad. And it was quite bad, to be honest. I think by the time the soup went on my hand and I got from the kitchen into the bathroom, it had basically sort of gone down a few layers of skin. So whether it was second or third degree burns, I'm not sure. But it's still painful, although I've lost all the feeling in this finger. I can't feel anything at all. So I'm not sure what to do about that. But hey, I can use my finger, so it's not really too much of an issue, I hope. Apart from that, I've had a week of sort of coming to terms with the facts of glaucoma and all the other stuff that's going around in my head, and just trying to come to terms with, I suppose, old age, which is really what this vlog this week is all about. I saw another video of a gay guy, and it was last week, and it was about, I think it was about, he was getting on actually through 60s, and he was saying how invisible he felt as an older gay man. And I was kind of thinking the same, really. And I never really noticed it before, not until I actually came to Australia. But since I've been here, I feel like I'm invisible as a person. Now, that's not specifically because I'm gay, but it's also because, we're kind of newbies, and, as much as I love Western Australia, it's not the most welcoming place in the world. I think I've spoken about this before anyway. And, the people can be quite standoffish. They take a long time to get to know, basically. For those of you who look at my blog or listen to my blogs or read them or whatever, you know that I work in retail as well. So I had an American lady in, and we were talking about this nonsense with Donald Trump and the mess that he's actually making of America. She was a lovely lady, and we were chatting for about half an hour. She actually came back as well to get more stuff, and she was a delight. She was wonderful. And I was sort of making my feelings about Donald Trump clear, and etc., etc., and she was, in agreement. She's been in Western Australia for 7 years, and she has not actually gone back from here to the United States because, as she said, there's a lot to explore in this part of the world, which is true. I love where I'm living. I love Asia, and I can't complain. I really cannot complain. Anyway, she was talking about the people and how difficult they were to get to know, and her sort of journey sounded very much like mine, except she's been here a lot longer, obviously. And I sort of said to her, look, you know, it's been hard coming to terms with leaving such a huge network of people behind in the UK and Spain and coming to Australia where we don't really know that many people, which is really bizarre because Daryl is Australian, but he's been with me for 30 years. This is our 30th year anniversary coming up. And for the majority of that time, he's lived with me in the UK and Spain. So being in Australia is a real, I'm not saying it's a chore, but yeah, it is a chore. It's become difficult, and it's difficult because getting to know people can be really hard. So it is kind of just us two against the world. And I think as gay men as well, it's become doubly difficult. And I think that's what I'm finding hard. When I was younger, certainly when I was gay and younger, when I came out, so you're sort of talking, I don't know, early 20s, probably. But at that time, your world explodes. The people around you become a waterfall, a crescendo of people. There were a lot of people in your life. And I kind of lived in a gay community, and I lived in a gay household. My friends were gay, and all the people that came in and out of my life were predominantly gay. And now I don't have gay friends at all here. I do back in the UK, and I do value the time I spend with them, even if it is via Facebook, immensely. I really, really, really cherish the moments I spend with them, talking to them, mainly reliving memories, which is quite apt, really. I think as I've got to the age I've got, it's become, blimey, it's become part of my makeup, my persona, just to reminisce quite a lot. Terrible, isn't it? I mean, I used to, God, my grandmother, my grandfather, they would often reminisce about the good old days and stuff like that. And I remember sat there as a kid just sort of looking at them thinking, I don't know really what you're talking about. And now I'm doing exactly the same thing. I am reminiscing about past times that I will never forget. Absolutely never forget. Last night I was sat there watching YouTube, and I was watching some short clips about Granellicant. There's a couple of walking videos where influencers are walking around Granellicant, just showing this wonderful part of Spain to viewers like me and others who, you know, may be thinking of moving there. And it was wonderful going on that walking tour with them and just remembering the places where I lived. And it is a shock to see that Granellicant has changed so much, but it's you know, it was such a big part of my life, as was Southampton, living in Southampton, as was Portsmouth. But as an individual now, especially as a gay man, I feel invisible. Literally. Is it loneliness? I'm not, look, all I need is Daryl. We've got a very, very, very few close friends, but all I need in my life is Daryl. That's all I need. And a couple of cats. That's all we've got. And I'm not lonely. I work with people. I see people every day. You know, I can't complain about my life, but I'm still in that, I'm not hiding who I am, but I still feel, I don't feel the need of sort of talking to other people, especially people I don't know, about my sexuality, about my life, as I would have done in the past. Because, you know, as a youngster, as a teenager, I would have basically worn my sexuality on my sleeve, and I certainly don't do that anymore, which is quite sad, because I am gay. I don't see why I should hide that fact. Equally, I don't want to advertise it, all the time. And when I'm having a conversation, I have to think twice about saying myself and my husband, just in case somebody might be a little bit, prejudiced, because they still are. As a state, Western Australia is actually very welcoming. It's akin to Spain, really, because Spain was equally the same. And being gay here has not been an issue at all. There's even living in Midland, there's been no real issues about sexuality. None. Maybe once. And that's because I was wearing a rainbow lanyard. And I had a comment about, do I support gay people? And I said, well, yes, of course I do. And that was it. That was the only comment, really. But that rainbow lanyard was my only time that I've really advertised who I am. And I do wear that at work on a daily basis. Nobody really mentions it. Some people do. There's a campaign running here called Minus 18, where you can donate to this organisation, which is what the rainbow lanyard is all about, really. And I will sort of explain it to them, and what they can do to help. But back to being invisible. But as a person, as a gay man, as a married gay man, I feel totally and utterly off the radar now. And I do find that hard to deal with sometimes. And yes, it is partly loneliness as well, because my friends are back in the UK, and I don't have a very close rapport with other people here. I have work colleagues, but I'm the manager. I don't have personal relationships with them. And that's the difference. That's the difficulty. So Daryl keeps saying to me, we should go out and meet friends and stuff like that. But I don't. It needs to be spontaneous, and it doesn't need to be contrived. And I don't need to be going to clubs and to meet these people or whatever. I don't want or feel the need to do that. I find that really quite disconcerting, and I find it a little bit awkward. So I really don't know how to overcome it. I'm a member of various different groups on Facebook, etc., and but I'm mainly on Facebook to do with groups, especially now, like glaucoma, finding out about other people's experiences and how to deal with it. And my sexuality sort of comes second. And I am a person who gets deeply involved in whatever I'm thinking about at the time. Last night in the storm, there was a big storm last night. I woke up at 4:30 and immediately my mind switched on, and I'm thinking, and it doesn't switch off, good or bad. So I had things going around my head, and I just needed to get them off my chest in my own mind. But I don't have that escapism or that I can't have conversations in the same way I used to have in the UK, and that is making life a little bit difficult, really. So there you go. But these are just my general feelings this week, and I'm sure next week will be very different. We've got Easter coming up, and we've got there's Anzac Day coming up, so I've got a few more days off in a row, which will be nice. It'd be nice to actually sort of get some time off and relax. It's my birthday in May, so May the 9th. I am 54 years old. Shocking. It still shocks me. One of my colleagues at work yesterday, we were talking about his mother. It's his mother's birthday, and I said, "Oh, how old is she?" And he said 52, and I'm like, "Oh, 2 years younger than me." And he kind of looked at me and he said, "Oh," but he said, "But you don't seem 52. Sorry, 54." And in many respects, I'm not. I have aches, I have pains, I burn myself, all these things that go wrong, but I don't really feel any different to what I did when I was in my 20s, really. Less hangovers, possibly, and stuff, but otherwise I'm fine. So, But it's all part of that invisibility thing, you know. All my friends in the UK would know how old I was. They've grown up with me. They've, you know, they shared experiences. They've been on holiday with me. They've done things with me. But people here haven't. So it just makes life, yeah, just a little bit more difficult. I don't know what I'm going to do going forward about, you know, being a bit more out there. But I'm sure, you know, in the future, you know, different things will come up. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm a very extroverted person as a rule, but over the last, especially 6, 7 months, I've become quite introverted, and I know that's kind of a danger sign for me, and it's a sign for me to get back out there and not sort of go within yourself so much. I do spend a lot of time analysing situations, individuals, people, etc. And you know, most of my time is spent looking forward to the next holiday I go on, and I've got to spend more time for myself. And you know, I know that. I mean, me and Daryl need to spend more time together. We don't because we're so busy working. You know, I might pay off the mortgage in record time, but we don't actually have huge amounts of time together because we're always at work. So we need to change that for sure. Um, that's it this week. This is my sort of get things off my chest day, really. And as always, thanks for listening.